in event of an emergency, you know where all the exits are. They're all marked by the signs. And as people funnel in, there is a chance, I will let you all know that there is a chance, or there should be a big chance, that the media will also fall in actually late. Welcome to the media, people. Just a joke. Come on, liven it up a little bit. You could do this. Okay. So as the media comes in, just continue to listen to Coach Dru as we go. The media knows how to sneak in and sneak out really easily, so hopefully they won't be much of a distraction. And also, after we are done with the speaking, we will have a Q&A session, which you'll see on your pamphlet. Me or Mr. Pletcher or Christy, there's like three of us, will be running around giving you the mic if you have a question for Coach Dru, and then he'll answer it. And then depending on the media that gets here, we'll have the interview session with Coach Dru afterwards. And as that's going on, we'll funnel you all out that door and out that hallway, down the hallway, and into the fellowship hall, ready for an awesome meal by M&M Catering. Okay? So we're going to get started here in about probably 5 minutes, and then we'll be starting. Okay? All right, we're going to get started. First, I'd like to say good evening. Now, come on, this is an exciting day for our school and our athletic program. Good evening. That's a little bit better. I'm Corey now. I'm the athletic director, and most of you know that. If you don't know that, then you haven't seen me very well, but I'm all over the place. And I would like to welcome you to this year's SCS Lions Athletic Banquet with our special guest speaker, Coach Dru. I am proud to be part of a school where we can show Christ in all we do, especially through our athletic program. I would like to take some time before we actually start to thank some people. I'd like to thank our head administrator, Susie Harshberger. I'd like to thank our school board, M&M Catering, our awesome custodian, Robbie Hay, and our sound man tonight. I'd like to thank our videographer, Todd Willoughby, up there, Pastor Todd. I'd also like to thank our decorations committee, which worked tirelessly into making sure that the banquet hall was looking beautiful, and they did a wonderful job. And I would like to also thank, lastly, the parent, guardians, athletes, and coaches. Without you, there would be no program. And lastly, I guess I got to sneak her name in there, my assistant athletic director, Christy Reed, because without her keeping me sane, I probably would have had a heart attack by now. But now, for the reason that you're here. This person has been previously named USA Today's Coach of the Year. Head coach Dru Joyce is one of the nation's most influential high school basketball coaches. Under his leadership, Coach Dru has led the St. Vincent St. Mary Fighting Irish in Akron, Ohio, to win 4 state championships and a national title, and a state championship that just happened last Saturday. He is the most winningest coach in Fighting Irish men's basketball history with a career record of 328-97. Coach Dru, as he is affectionately known, has been a motivator and a mentor to countless young men who have played basketball professionally, including none other than 4-time MVP LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers. McDonald's All-American Basketball Games in 2011 named him All-American Coach. In 2009, the Ohio Athletic Association called Coach Dru Joyce Coach of the Year. And in 2016, he is an inductee into the Summit County Hall of Fame. Speaking to thousands of youth, corporate audiences, colleagues, colleges, executive leaders, student athletes, sales professionals, and educators with his compelling message of faith, success, and winning has helped individuals and organizations create peak performance. For over 15 years, Coach Dru has shared the playbook for success in not only winning at basketball, but maximizing one's potential to win in all areas of life. LeBron James credits his former high school coach with him reaching his potential as a basketball player and a man. Serving as director of the Northeast Ohio Basketball Association and author of Beyond Championships, a playbook for winning at life, Coach Dru spent over 25 years in corporate America and learned through study and life experiences what it means to step out on faith to become successful and help others see value in themselves to become successful MVPs, or most valuable persons. Coach Dru knows how to connect to people with their potential and position themselves to win. Let's give a big SCS Lions welcome to Coach Dru Joyce.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening. Is this your phone, Corey? Yeah. Hey, it's all right. You know, knowing me, I would have kicked it on the floor, and I don't want to do that. So, wow, it's good to be here. I'm glad that you invited me. The problem with all this is that um, I keep having these speaking engagements in Western Pennsylvania and Steeler country. I mean, and I'm a diehard. I'm a diehard Browns fan. So, yeah, I mean, hey, I can take your pity, and I know you feel sorry for me, and trust me, I take it all, and hopefully you'll send up some prayers for the Browns too. I mean, it's okay. We're not going to ever well, I don't want to put that on us, but we're not going to get there anytime soon. So you can just pray that maybe we'll win 2 games next year. All right. So, but first, I'd like to thank Corey and the school for inviting me. Honestly, it's a great opportunity for me to continue to share about kids. And before I get started, I have to acknowledge my better half. The woman who has helped make me into the man that I am, my wife, Dru Joyce. So in all seriousness, when my publicist, trust me, that's hard for me to say. I got a publicist. Wow. I mean, she makes more money than I've made, so I guess I should feel good about it. But I do have a publicist. She's a great lady, and we honestly spent 25 years going to the same church, and then she moved to Atlanta, and happened to come home, and she was sharing with my wife and said, "Well, your husband wrote a book. Why doesn't he get out here and try to speak and talk about it?" And so she's done a lot of great things for me, honestly. So I'm excited that she made the arrangements so that I could come and share with you this evening, especially when the message is about young people. Young people in sports, that's what excites me. That's what excites me, honestly. I started out, most people don't understand, I started out as a rec league coach in the Akron Rec League. And how it all worked is I had a son Dru was pretty good, and he was 8. No, actually he was 7. And, the Akron Rec League started at 8. And I took him to one rec league close to our house, and the guy who was running the rec league said, no, he's got to be 8. I said, well, it's December. His birthday is in January. He's pretty good. And the guy said, no, we're going by the rules. He's got to be 8. So I honestly took my son to a rec center that some of the brothers in my church told me, don't go to this rec center. But my son loved the game. And so I took him to that rec center, and the director, he kind of looked at me and said, you know what? I'll let him play. And I was excited because, Dru is, he's fallen in love with this game. And so he says, but one condition. And I said, yeah, what's the condition? He said, you got to coach the team. So that was the condition. He said, now, understand, we've already picked the teams. So I'm going to get the coaches to give you one player from their team so you can build your team with. So y'all know what player I got. Yeah, you know what player I got. We were 1-9. We were 1-9. That's how I started out in coaching. My record was 1-9. So, hey, don't feel bad, or don't think bad, or that if you don't start out well, it's not where you start, right? It's kind of where you finish. So that's how I got started. And today, I just want to talk to you about a couple things, 3 things, and then we'll do some question and answers. And but 3 things. I want to caution the parents here. I want to caution the parents. And then I want to challenge the coaches. I want to challenge the coaches. And third, I want to make a call out to all the young people here, okay? So bear with me, and I'm going to try to do this, and hopefully at some point you'll understand that I love this. And, I tell people all the time that, I'm really most comfortable speaking to 15 guys in a huddle, all right? That's where, I'm pretty good 15 guys in a huddle at a timeout. I'm real good at halftime. So this is relatively new for me. So we'll work with the audience here tonight. A caution to parents. Just recently, my most famous player, LeBron James. I don't know if any of you follow him on Twitter. I don't do that too much, and but he just recently has been, in Northeast Ohio. It's been big news. He let off a series of tweets. He texted a series of tweets about youth sports and what was going on and what was going wrong as far as he was concerned, because his sons are now playing youth sports. And it was good to hear him say that myself and some of his other young coaches, coaches who coached him when he was young, that he appreciated what we did, that we were hard on him, that when he needed kicked in the butt, figuratively, not literally, we kicked him in the butt, and when we challenged him, we did it. We were very honest with it. We were truthful. So it was good to hear that. And the other thing that he said, which was really impacted me, and he said, "But we showed him love." And it made me really think back to when I first met him. We were they had just turned 11 years old, and we were starting this team, and I really didn't know him that well. We had having practice at the local Salvation Armies where we kind of started practicing. He went. He wanted to come to practice, but he had this school outing that he had to go on. It was a retreat somewhere. I still don't know where it is. Somewhere outside of Akron, but he wanted to be at practice. I could see he really wanted to be there. So, I didn't think much of it. I'm just a dad at the point, really, trying to coach my son and this little group of guys. And I said, well, I'll check with your school and your teacher. And I did that and made arrangements that he could come to practice as long as I would drive him to where the retreat was. And honestly, I didn't know what I was in for. I agreed to this. And so we came to practice, and we finished the practice up, and I still don't know where we drove that night. I don't. It was way out. There was no lights. It was out far in the country, and we found the cabin, and we got him there, and I made it back home, and but what I remember most about it was the look on his face when I told him that I was going to do that. He wasn't. It's not that people hadn't done stuff for him, but he didn't really know me, and so some of the other people who had done stuff for him kind of had there was some strings attached, and he could kind of understand. I didn't know him at all, and there was no strings. So that he felt some love there, because I just love kids and I wanted to help him, and so it was exciting to him. So when he shared that in the tweet, it just brought me back to that moment that there's some things that we as parents and mentors, we have to be very careful about how we approach the kids, and sometimes that innocence, that when we do some things innocently, we just don't understand how great the impact of that is. We just don't. And he went on to say in that series of tweets about what's going wrong, in youth sports. Today is the day of the personal trainer. I call him the specialty coach. And parents who push their kids through the system, and kind of. He went on to say that the elite athletes, are kind of coddled. He felt like they weren't very tough. They were kind of coddled, and everything is kind of given to them. And I had to as he was saying this, I had to think back and be honest with, about who I was as a young coach, because that's why, I was probably on the other end of the spectrum. My son, I was hard. I mean, he couldn't do anything right. I was so concerned that the players and the parents of the team would think that my son was playing because I was the coach, that I didn't give him, no slack. He made a mistake. It was worse, 10 times worse than anybody else's mistake. He had, even, in fact, LeBron once said it, because we would all ride. I would take these guys to Cleveland from Akron. It's about 25 miles just to find a place to practice. And all the way home would be the critique of my son, Dru. And, I, just felt like I had to do it that way. I had to be hard. I had to get on him, and I had to make sure that everyone understood that what he got, he earned. And honestly, I almost ruined it for him. Because, he loved the game, and I was making it not fun. I didn't see it that way. I mean, I'm the coach, I'm just trying to make sure everyone understands that he's this great player on his own, and I want, there's no shortcuts here. But somewhere along the way, I forgot about being dad. And it impacted him and our relationship. So I had enough sense. The Lord gave me enough sense. I'm not going to take credit for it. The Lord gave me enough sense to ask him one day, am I being too hard? And he's about 12, 13 years old, and he said, yeah. And it was a call on my heart to back off, because I had to realize that it was his dream. And no matter whether I'm coaching and I'm trying to do this thing the right way, it's his dream. And that, oh, thank you. It's his dream. And it's important that he be allowed to realize his dream. So I just want to caution you as parents that even in those moments when you think that you're doing the right thing by your child, and I really thought I was doing the right thing, that sometimes you need to be able to back up and look at it from a different perspective and consider exactly why. Because the real truth, all those parents that I was trying to make sure didn't think that Dru was getting something that wasn't due him, they thought it anyway. It didn't matter what I did. If they wanted to think that, that's what they were going to think. I had to learn that the hard way. And I had to learn it the hard way. And in fact, it's so funny, as I consider this, that, Dru's now in college, and, our relationship went 360. I mean, the first call after one of my games was to him. The first call after one of his games is to me. And my younger son, who's 4 years younger than Dru, he's playing for me in high school, and I'm having the same kind of dilemma, that I had a pretty good team. In fact, that team went on to the Final Four. It was my first team to go back to the Final Four since I had coached with Dru and LeBron and those guys. And but that season, I didn't have a point guard. At least I didn't think I had a point guard. So I was lamenting over it. What am I going to do? I don't have a point guard, And my son, I was saying this to Dru, and Dru said, come on, Dad. Cameron, his younger brother, he's your point guard. And I said, but he said, Dad, come on. I mean, you come on, really? But because I had three seniors who were ahead of him, but none of them, they were guards, but none of them were the point guard. And he said, come on, Dad, give the ball to Cameron and let him play. And I did that, and we went to the Final Four. We lost, but I had to listen to my son. But, so again, you would thought by then I would have gotten it. But again, I was so concerned sometimes about those families. And, honestly, when I did that, I got to be very honest with you, there was a young man whose family I've been very close to, him and my son Cameron. He was a year older, but he was older in grade, but he was, if you know how travel basketball works, if you have that September birthday, you could actually play down a grade. So, but he was a year ahead of Cameron in high school, and that family, I had to make that decision. That family wasn't going to, that young man wasn't going to start. Cameron was going to start ahead of him. And, this is a family we traveled with and went different places around the country. During travel basketball, they stopped speaking to me. They really had an issue with me naming my son the starter, and their son came off the bench. But I tried to tell them it's not who starts the game, it's who finishes it, but honestly, they didn't want to hear that. So it was tough. It was very tough. So I just want to caution you as parents that, it's great and it's a lot of fun. I couldn't, as a dad, I had the best seat available. I had the best seat available. Right there to watch my sons, both of them, all the way through school, do great things, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I wouldn't change it for the world. But, had I, not done some things or honestly had been awakened to some of the errors of my ways early on, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy it. I would have missed all of that by being this domineering kind of coach for really the wrong reasons, all right? So, and I trust me, I know it's hard. You go to the games, you put all this time into your child, and you want to see them have some success. But I just want to tell you, having fun is more important than having the success. Okay? Having fun is more important than having the success. At the end of the day, that's what's going to be what's most important. Now, that probably sounds, you said, well, yeah, it's easy for him to say that. 4 state championships, and he doesn't have this, foolish coach that, well, some of them think I'm foolish, but that's okay too, But, so I understand that, where you are. I just want to caution you, it's so easy that you try to live your dream through your child. And I know some of y'all, you're saying, that's not me. That's not me. And honestly, I thought that was not me, but there was those moments when I have to realize and be honest, that was me. That was me. So that's my caution to you as parents. That's my caution. All right? Now, here's the challenge to coaches. Here's the challenge to coaches. Now, let me say this. Coaching is that profession that, honestly, everybody's a coach. Let's be real about it. Everybody's a coach. I tell my parents, I said, look, you're a doctor. I'm not coming into your office telling you how to be a doctor. But that same doctor will come into the stands and sit down and tear me down for the decision I make as a coach. So I understand that, and so everybody's a coach, and I just tell them, hey, you guys are undefeated. Hey, what can I say? You're undefeated. I can't compete with y'all. Y'all, you haven't lost a game. You haven't lost a game. But understand that as a coach, this is my challenge. That to me, coaching is a very sacred responsibility. God has blessed me to have an opportunity to pour my life into the lives of young men at a very impressionable age. And as coaches, we need to take that seriously. We need to take that seriously. And, how do we do that? You do that by growing with the game, whatever the game is. Sometimes, we kind of coach from where we are. Hey, I played middle school football, and I'm going to coach it like I was coached. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it until you understand that you were in middle school 25 years ago, and it's a different kid now, and everything is a little different now. So it's, maybe that 25 years ago, what you knew then is 25 years old. You need to maybe refresh it. You need to put a little, just read a book, watch a video, talk to another coach. It's all good. But, I just want you to understand that, the impact that you have on young men can be so great. Share a story of a young man. His name is Admir Bektik. He showed up in my gym as going into, I have a summer camp, and he was an 8th grader. And he walks into the gym, and he's about 6'4", 6'5", coming into high school. I'm like, wow, who's this guy? And Admir was kind of a good player, and he said, well, I'm coming to St. V this year. And I'm like, okay, Admir, come on. And I didn't know a whole lot about Admir. Over time, I got to find out that a little bit about him. He was born in Yugoslavia. He was Muslim. And his family actually had to sneak out of the country. His dad played on the Yugoslavian national soccer team, but it's right when all the ethnic cleansing was going on in Bosnia and those countries there. And so he lived in Germany for a little while, and he lived in France. This guy, as a young kid, and he spoke 3 or 4 different languages. And now he's in America, and he walks into my gym, and so that next year, he's the freshman year, he comes in and he's playing, and he was okay, he wasn't great, but he had some size, but it's like he had more technical fouls than we ever had in the school. I'm like, every other game, Admir's got a technical. Freshman coach comes to me and says, yeah, man, we were winning, but dang, Admir gets me a technical. I'm like, come on, Admir, so. We get through the freshman year, and he comes to my team as what we do at St. Vincent St. Mary, the top 20 to 24 guys practice. They're varsity and junior varsity. We practice together. For a lot of years, the reason we had to do that is because we only had the one gym. The girls practiced first, then the boys, and then the freshmen practiced after that. So this was during that time. We got the group together, and, my coaches are telling me, you need to cut Admir. And I'm like, Admir's 6'5", 6'6" now. I'm like, let's give the kid a chance. So we kept Admir, and, Admir's on the JV team, and Admir's still getting technical fouls, and he's got, some anger issues. He come to practice, and, I'm having to throw him out of practice. So junior season rolls around, and the coaches are like, Dru, come on, man. You just got to get rid of this kid. Why are you keeping him? And I honestly, I'm be honest with you, I didn't know why. I didn't really know why. It was just something, I was like, hey, there's something there. I'm just figuring, there's something there. And anyway, Admir, we keep him, and going into his senior year, we're giving him a little time. He's playing a little bit. I've already warned him now. Look, Admir, now it's all varsity. You're playing for me now. You get one technical, and you're done. So I kind of put that out there, but that didn't always solve practice, because sometimes Admir would come to practice, and you could just look at him, and it's like, so what I did, I'm great at using my players. So, I had my senior, who's my leader. His name is Mike Hammonds. I would see Admir come in, and Admir looked like he was having one of those days, I go to Mike. I say, Mike, you need to go talk to Admir, because if he's having one of those days, it's going to be a bad day for all of you. All right? So Mike would kind of help me to keep Admir in line. And anyway, long story short, we get to the state final. We win the state championship. Admir's a part of it. And, you know, come to find out that Admir's home life was really bad. Him and his father would have fist fights, and sometimes Admir was sleeping in his car. And he would come to school, and that was some of the anger. You know, there was always an issue at home, and honestly, I missed it. I didn't understand it. But I know this: had I taken basketball away from him, had I done what my coaches wanted me to do, cut him, I don't think Admir would be around today. But you know what? The Lord impressed upon my heart to keep him, and Admir would run through a wall for me today. He comes back all the way through college. While he was in college, he always works the camp, always is there, comes to practice now when he has a day off, you know. The kind of young man that you just want around. And for a lot of years, I didn't see it. I didn't understand the impact that I was having, and had I just chose to go down a different road with him, who knows what would have happened. So the Lord has really impressed upon my heart that as a coach, sometimes, you know, you got that, you know, you have that mindset, you coach them all the same way. I'm going to treat them all like dogs. You got that coach out there. Come on, let's be real. I'm not going to ask any of y'all to raise your hand. It might be one of y'all, but it was made very clear to me that I got to coach them all differently. I got to understand who they are as individuals, and maybe it's one of those young men that can't. You can tell I'm probably a pretty low-key guy. Never raised my voice. No. I holler at the guys. I won't curse them. I will not curse them. I won't do anything. But I'm going to holler at you, and I'm telling them it's going to be constructive. My hollering is always constructive, but sometimes, they bring it back to me. I had one player said, Coach Dru, he said, could you not holler at me? And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, I'm going to try. I'm not going to promise I won't holler. He said, I just don't do well when you holler at me. So I tried it. And I pulled a young man aside, and I would say, listen, Devontae, you're doing this wrong. And Devontae, he responded. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess he was being real with me. So he just didn't want to be hollered at. Devontae and his senior class, they went on to win another state championship for us. And had I continued to holler at Devontae, he was the leading scorer that year, he probably wouldn't have been the leading scorer. So, you got to understand how it is. And that's everyone, that's the coach, from the guy who's, the volunteer. And I know you have volunteers here, and we have volunteers at St. Vincent St. Mary. We're a small Catholic school. We don't, everyone isn't on salary. Hey, I don't make any money coaching. I coach for the love of it. My salary at St. Vincent St. Mary couldn't pay a couple house notes. That's about it. I'm being honest with you. So we do it for the love, but you got to understand, just because you love something doesn't give you the right to do it the way you want to do it. There has to be a standard. So we've set a standard. And I require that my coaches coach to that standard. All right. And sometimes, as a coach, you got to deal in hard truth. And, sometimes you don't know how the kids are going to react to that. So this season, I got my leader, He's a great young man. He's going to be going to, wow, school here in Western Pennsylvania. Robert Morris. He's getting too many of us come over here, man. But he might be a Steeler fan. I don't know, But anyway, he's going to Robert Morris. But I'm driving him home from practice one day, and we had played in the state championship in 2016. And I just shared with him. I said, you know what, John? I said, we lost the state championship because one player on the other team's will was greater than all of yours. I said, one player, his will was greater than all of yours. It wasn't that he scored all the points or got all the rebounds. It's just that his will to win was greater than all of yours. And I didn't know how John was going to take that, because he was my leader. He's a tough kid, and I thought, he might react to it negatively. But I said, look, I got to be honest with you. I said, his will was greater than all of yours. And we had, our star player from 2016 is playing at the University of Butler. So it wasn't like we didn't have good players. I said, but his will was bigger than all of yours. And so I didn't know how John was going to take that, honestly. But as the season went on, we're winning. We get to the state semifinal game this year. We're playing a team that in January, I guess it's about January 16th or 15th, that's the 15th, had beat us by 39. They beat us by 39. We're now playing them in the semifinal. The game has been going back and forth. It's 60-60. Less than a minute to go. They have the ball. There's taking it out near the half court, and they inbound the ball, and John is guarding this guy. He's the best player on the other team. He's already scored 34 points against us. And but in that moment, John shared in the interview room after the game. He said, in that moment, he said, I just thought about what Coach Dru said to me in the car riding home one day about that young man last year whose will was bigger than all of ours. And I felt like I got to do something. I got to do something. I don't know what it is. I'm tired. John had played every minute of the game. He said, but I got to do something. And he said, I just willed with all that was in me. He dove and stole the ball. And there's a tie-up, and the arrow was in our favor. So now it's our ball with like 21 seconds left. And then our other star player responded to what John did. And he makes a last-second shot, and we win the game 62-60. No one could believe that we won the game. No one wanted to believe that this team that, 6 weeks earlier had beaten us by 39 had now lost to us. And it was all about John's will and his desire to do something great for his teammates that was going to lift them over. And it all happened because of that conversation that I had with him in the car going home, when I gave him the real truth, the hard truth sometimes that we don't want to give our kids, or we as a coach, we don't want to tell our players. But that hard truth, he responded. So my challenge to you as a coach, all of you here, is to understand that sacred responsibility that you have, to honor it, to be the best at it. Learning never stops. You don't ever want your players to stop learning because you're teaching. Well, you need to keep learning too. You can't be the coach you were 5 years ago or 5 minutes ago. You need to always be trying to be better at it. And if you're always trying to be better, then your players are always trying to be better, because they're going to respond to your example. So I'm always trying to be better. It's funny, my former players think that, they always come back and they say, oh, Coach Dru, you soft now. And I just feel like, no, I'm smarter. I don't have to do it in 2.5 hours now. I can get it done in 2 hours. No, Coach, you had us practicing for 2.5 hours. And I want to tell them, I just didn't have it. I wasn't smart enough to understand I can get it done in 2. They don't want to hear that. But that's the real truth. I just feel like I'm smarter now. I believe I can get it done better. And then my last challenge, my last call is for the young people who are here. Whatever the game is, whatever it is, understand what that game can bring to you. Understand it's not always in the wins and losses. I mean, I've been on both sides of things, and we've enjoyed all the wins. Some of our toughest moments have been through the losses, but those are where most of the growth happens, in the losses. But recognize and understand that, it's all about the relationships. That's what's most important. The relationships that you're building with your teammates, that's what you're going to take far beyond than any championship or any trophy. Because when Dru and LeBron and those guys from that 2003 national championship team get back together, they look like they're still in high school. They're laughing and giggling and talking about those old times and the new times, but they have a lifelong friendship that was built about through the game, through the challenges of the game. So please understand, the relationships are what you're going to honestly cherish most from this sport, whatever the sport is. This one guy who's, much, young guy, he's from Omaha, Nebraska, and I went out there one time to speak. We had I don't know, we've been blessed, our team. There's a documentary out, some of you may have seen, it's called More Than a Game. It talks about those years with LeBron in high school, but we were doing it, and he was out there, and Omaha, Nebraska is really a rough city. And he just said to me, he said, look, Coach, you just don't understand how important being on a team is. He said, because in Omaha, what I've saw is if you don't put them on a team, they're going to find a team. It may not be the team that you want them to be on. It may be that gang on the corner, but they're going to be on a team. Understand the importance of the team. Get the kids involved with the team. I think, as I've talked to corporate America, the thing they want me to talk about most is teamwork. I'm like, dang, didn't any of y'all kids play? I mean, your employees play sports? I mean, didn't they play softball or something? I mean, kickball, it's about being on a team. And when you're on a team, you begin to appreciate the differences of everyone, and you begin to honor, those things about them that make that individual significant. I just want to, I've been using this since I heard it last year. I stole it from Christian Thompson, who plays with the Cavaliers. In every game last year during the Cavaliers championship run, after the game, they'd have an interview, and they'd interview Tristan. And Tristan he talked about, I'm just going to be a star in my role. I was like, wow. So I've been challenging my kids, be a star in your role. Understand what your role is. And your role may be to set screens for the scorer and rebound it, but be a star in that role. Because the role that you're playing, that star scorer can't play without the role you're playing. So if you're a star in your role, then you're going to be great. I was just sharing that, we won a state championship, and we were only as good as that 15th guy on the bench, because he's the one in practice who made the other guys better. So be a star in your role. understand that you have an opportunity to do something great by being that player that and understanding that role. You know, it's kind of like this, and you really saw it this year with my team because I had 5 seniors and 3 of them played a lot, 2 of them played a little bit, but the 2 other who played a little bit, they had significant moments on that championship run, and at the end of it, it's kind of like when the tide comes in. You know, when the tide comes in, all the ships in the harbor, they all rise up. All the boats rise. And that's what happened with our group. Everyone rose. So I just want to thank you guys for taking these few moments to listen to me. I'm hoping you as a parent will recognize and be cautious of your role and understand how to do this thing in the best way for your children. Coaches understand the challenge, the opportunity that you have to pour into someone else's life. And then you young people, be a star in your role. Thank you very much. Oh. Please, you know, I thank you. And, you know, if we want to do some question and answer, I know there might be a LeBron question out here. Yeah, I know there might be just one. And I'll see if I can answer just the one.
All right, where's T? Where you at, T? I know you got one.
Uh-oh.
She's starstruck.
Well, let me answer this one while she's pulling it together. Kids usually ask me, well, how many cars does LeBron have? That last count, it was 14. The last count, it was 14. And, you know, I'm like, you can only drive one at a time. Why do you need 14? But, hey, I guess that's, you know, I can't be mad at him. I remember when he didn't have one. So, yes.
Did you know LeBron was going to be a star?
Did I know he was going to be a star? Wow. I'm often asked that question. And I knew when I saw him play against my son that he was going to be pretty good. As I started coaching him, I recognized that, okay, he's pretty talented. Going into high school, we played in the AAU 14 and under national championship game. We lost, but we were in the championship game, and he was the best player there. And I knew at that point that, well, he's at least going to go to a major college and play major college basketball. And then after his sophomore season, we were at an AAU event, and he was playing against the so-called, I could say so-called because the so-called number 1 player in the country, and LeBron destroyed him. And at that moment, I knew he was never going to play in college. I understood, and so, no, I didn't know. I just knew he was going to be good. But you know what the great thing about LeBron James is? He was always coachable. He's always coachable. You know, I never had to really challenge him about being coachable. And then, you know, I've shared that, you hear him on some of you guys who listen to ESPN, and you'll hear some of these guys saying, well, he needs to be more selfish. He should have took the last shot, that kind of nonsense, because he passed it to his teammates. But when he does that, it does my heart good, because that's how we taught him how to play. I got a good shot, but my teammates got a great shot. I'm giving the ball up. That's how the game is supposed to be played. So that does my heart good when I see that. So, yes. Yeah.
Coach, if I could ask you, who has been the most influential person in your journey to this point?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, is, the most influential person. I mean, for sure. But, when, God uses other people. And the coach that I've grown to respect the most, I never met, was John Wooden. And I just read all of his books, and I understand. I just liked who he is as a person and how he carried himself. And then, Keith Dambrot, who's now in Western Pennsylvania at Duquesne, was my coach. Helped me at St. V before as I was the assistant coach. So Keith had some influence on me too. But I would say, those three, and then, the great assistant coach right over there. She's, she's probably handled most of that. So, yeah. I tease her about it all the time. I go home and, especially if it's been one of those kind of games, and, sometimes I I really don't really want to get quizzed right now. But she's got some, why did you play him? Why didn't you take him out? And and sometimes she's right, and, sometimes she's wrong. But, a lot of times I make her feel like she's right all the time, because I understand I got to live there, so. But any other questions? Yes.
Do you still stay in touch with your players?
Yes. You know what? I love that about my guys. They keep coming back. LeBron comes back. My son Dru comes back. My son Cameron, when they're in town, they come back. In fact, my guys hate it when Dru, because my son Dru is playing in Europe. This is his 10th year playing overseas and professionally, and he comes home every time, sometimes in the January time. They hate it, because then I let him be. Because I always tell people, Drew's a better coach than I am right now. I let him coach the team, and they hate it. But I also have the young man in 2009 who I used to send Admir to, is now my assistant coach. He coaches the JV team, and then the young man in 2011 who told me, don't holler at him. He's the assistant coach with the JV too. So those guys are all back. And then the freshman coach is a former player. So, yeah, they keep coming back. And it's great because we have a standard at St. V. We have a tradition. And when the guys come in and my players, they see those guys coming back, and they're excited to come back, and they have something to share. It means a lot to them. So they enjoy it. Yes.
Was there like a person or like a thing or like what really inspired you to write your book?
Wow. You know what? This is the truth. This is the truth how it all happened. We're going around the country promoting the documentary More Than a Game in 2008, I guess it was, right? 2008? Yeah, okay. And every city, we had 5 cities, because really, the documentary, we didn't make any money. It's okay, because it was a great documentary. Nike sold a lot of shoes, because every city we went to, we had a big, showing, and everybody got in free, and Nike got to show the shoes that they were trying to sell. So Nike sold a lot of shoes. But anyway, as we're going around, we'd go to every city, and there was someone from the agency that was promoting the film, the William Morris Agency, and there's a gentleman there. And he would sit in on the interviews. And as I was doing these interviews, he said, Coach, he said, wow. He said, I like how you say things. He said, there's a way that you say things. He said, you should write a book. And I said, oh, yeah, okay. I said, it's on my bucket list. I want to write a book. And I kind of was just, really kind of messing with the guy. I really, and 2 weeks later, he had my agent now, my literary agent called me, and he had told her about me, and she called and she said, yeah, I think we got a book. And I'm like, yeah, okay, right. And then they went to the next step. I said, well, I can't write a book, He said, oh, no, we got people who will help you write it. So my wife and I, we went through some people, and honestly, we got a proposal, and we sent it in, and nothing happened. And then another, the literary agent, who's from Youngstown on the Ohio side of the border. She's from Youngstown. She brought another lady in, and they said, well, you know what? We think that your message is great, but you know, there just needs to be some more stuff added to it. So honestly, my wife, who she writes, most of no, she doesn't write. I didn't let her write this speech, okay, but she writes a lot of them, But anyway, she and I took that proposal and we worked it around and we sent it in, and Zondervan and another company wanted to bid on it. And when I went back to my ghost writer, Chris Morrow, who's a great writer, and told him that, well, we have an offer now, he was kind of floored. He thought it was dead, So the process happened and it went on. It became greater than what we thought, and I hope that if you haven't read it, you'll want to buy a copy and read it. And we're very thankful that it's one of those kind of things. Just like the documentary, you don't really think about your life being out there like that. So it's very humbling. Yes, young man.
What was one of your hardest choices in a game?
Oh, wow. That's a coach right there. I can see it. Yeah, okay. Hardest choices in a game. Oh, boy. 2001, 2002, 2002, my first year as a coach. We're in the state final. I'm a rookie coach. No one, they didn't really think I could get the guys there, but I had a great team. Now, let's be real. I had LeBron James and my son. But anyway, before that game, that Monday, I'm sick with the flu. I wake up. LeBron's got back spasms. He can hardly get out of bed. So we rushed him to Ohio State University, and they put the electric shock on him and all that stuff. So he felt good before the game. And then right at game time, the spasms came back, and I had to make a choice. Do I play him or do I sit him? And I chose to play him, but for the first 2 quarters, he was just kind of out there. He really wasn't playing that effectively. I mean, he came on later in the game, but that was a real tough one, And and then the one that haunts me the most. This one haunts me the most. My younger son, Cameron, his senior year. We're playing in the district final. Cameron's having the game of his life. And we're playing against a very, very good team. And the game is, we're down. We're down 1 point. Other team gets a steal, and they call a timeout. I don't know why the kid called a timeout. They didn't have any timeouts left. So it's a technical foul. So I had to choose who goes to the free throw line. So I did what most coaches would do, and I got to live with this. I sent the highest percentage free throw shooter to the line, not Cameron. And Cameron's in the huddle. He's looking at me like, I can't believe you're not going to send me to the line. And, I'm like, Greg's shooting like 78%, and you're like 68. I'm like, and Greg goes up, and he misses, and we lose. And every time, that was Cameron's last game. And, oh, man, every time I mean, it gives me chills right now thinking about that decision. So that was that was the hardest one. That was the hardest one.
Do you count God on your side?
Yes, I do. In fact, in 2004, 2005, I got started coaching late in life. 2005, I'm coaching and working the regular job, and then at the end of the regular job day, for all those years, I would go to the gym and coach. And in 2005, my company, honestly, it's so funny, all this Western Pennsylvania stuff. I was calling on Giant Eagle headquarters. For our company, it was a $15 million account, and I'm doing well. And the company has found out I'm coaching, and they don't have a rule that says I can't coach because I'm doing it after work. But you could kind of tell they didn't really want me coaching. So they send me out they're going to take me out of Giant Eagle and send me to an account in Syracuse, New York. I'd have to drive once a week to Syracuse, New York, to an account that was in Chapter 11 for the second time. So the company's kind of saying, you want to coach? Go ahead. We're going to put you out to pasture. You can coach. The company if that company you're calling on folds, we have a way to put you out the door. And after that meeting, I called my wife on the way home, and I said, because, hey, my youngest son was just a freshman in high school, and Drew was a freshman in college. He's on a scholarship, but we all know how that works. So when they present me this at the meeting, I said, well, yeah, I guess I'm going to Syracuse. But I got in the car, and I called my wife, and I said, my mouth said yes, but my heart is saying no. And we decided, and without knowing what we were going to do, but I wanted to coach, I walked away from that job. And we've been on a faith walk ever since then. So, yes, I count God on my side. Yeah.
Are there any drills that LeBron liked?
Any drills? Yeah, you know what? Bron, when he was with me and as a younger kid, Bron wanted to play. He wasn't a drill guy. I mean, he was talented and he could do a drill, but he wanted to play. Now, my son Drew is the drill guy. Drew would, he loved drills. And, that's why he's going to be a great coach, because he's now LeBron, as he's gotten older and gotten into the NBA, he understands, he's always had a great work ethic. It wasn't like he wouldn't do the drills, but LeBron wanted to play more than do the drill stuff. But he has a favorite drill now. I wouldn't know what it is because we're far removed from me coaching him. But when I was coaching him, he would go through the drills, but I couldn't name one that was actually his favorite. No, I couldn't name one. All right. Yeah.
Let's give it up for Coach Dru. By the way, I just got to add this in. I asked at the beginning when he first got here, how much do you practice? His team practices 7 days a week. 7 days a week. And then Sundays is always after church. So you want to be a good championship team? That's how you do it. Hard work, dedication. Okay? All right. We are going to funnel you all out. Those who are